basketball. We're going to talk a little bit Arizona football, a little bit more signing day talk. But let's get started here. Let's talk some Arizona basketball. Let's get started here on Locked On Wildcats.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it Locked On Wildcats. Again, I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, we have got a lot to get to today. Let's talk first, though, about Arizona basketball against Morgan State, not Oregon State. So, again, Arizona has I would say, somewhat of a lackluster performance. Yeah, it's fair to say. Pretty much kind of a lackluster performance to Morgan State. But I also don't know that that's to be totally unexpected, because this is Arizona. Arizona basketball has always struggled with these games, these pre-Christmas games. And even when Lute's best teams would always struggle with these, Lute's teams would always struggle with these kind of games. And you know what? It's easy to see why. It's really easy because honestly, they're these are kids. These are kids that are kids, and you're thinking about getting a home. You're thinking about, all right, generally these teams aren't very good. And that's, it's just kind of the way it is. So I don't take a ton from this game. Again, every single game, and we've talked about this a great deal, every single game, Arizona is going to get awesome performances from the two peaks, Oumar Ballo and Azuolas Tubelis. They are both obviously big-time dudes, and they're going to continue to do that every single game in and game out. Now, watching this game, though, you can also tell that if you're a team playing Arizona, you're probably going to want to try to pack in the paint a little bit. But I also don't think that that's necessarily going to impact Arizona because, I think that, kind of at this point, it just kind of is what it is with the Cats. But I am excited. But I think everybody's got to be a little bit excited for where Arizona is at this point. Top 5 team going into the Christmas break. And this is a team, again, that I was a little bit wrong on. I didn't think that Arizona would be able to perform to this level, and they have. And, again, Tommy Lloyd, you got to give him a ton of credit for he's finding who are the best players out there, who can do what, and it's just a joy to watch out there. This is a team that, like I said, they're firing on all cylinders. They're clicking right now. Arizona basketball is one of the top 5 teams in the country, and I think it's going to continue to be that way because of the big men. Again, when you got Azuolas Tubelis and Oumar Ballo, basically every single game coming in, they are dropping 35 points, 20 rebounds, and you just don't see that in college basketball, honestly. I mean, think about it. How often do you really see anything that's quite like you generally just don't see it? And again, I think that's what's kind of exciting about this whole endeavor for Arizona right now. So, but you got again, I don't take a ton from this. I don't worry about it. Now, looking ahead, next game up, you got ASU coming on, and ASU is going to be interesting because it doesn't feel like a top 25 team. It doesn't feel like a top 25 team, but it does feel like a team that is going to be somewhere in that discussion at the end for about an 8 or 9 seed. They just obviously got destroyed by San Francisco, so they're going to be totally motivated for Arizona. But when you're Arizona, you're also used to being the hunted at this point. And I don't know that there's really anything, that should surprise anybody there. But I'm excited to see what Arizona can do against ASU, because I think they're going to be very motivated. ASU is going to be very motivated, because the best thing that you can do to wipe away the stench of that, to wipe away the stench of that performance is to be able to, go out there and beat a good Arizona team. And again, we'll find out if it happens or not. But I'm also a little bit, I feel comfortable that Arizona is going to be able to bring their game. Now, granted, it's in Tempe, so Arizona State certainly has a possibility of winning that game, but I wouldn't count on that. All right, we're going to have a little bit of a shorter show today. Again, having a few little issues over here on the technical side. But wanted to tell you, before we get to some Arizona football, wanted to talk to you about the National Highway Public Safety and Transportation. Listen, right now it's the holiday season. Everybody knows that. And with the holiday season, everybody is, everybody's driving. But here's what you need to remember. Don't drink and drive. We're in the day of Uber. There's absolutely no reason to do it. So again, don't drink and drive, and get an Uber, and don't do anything that could jeopardize your or somebody else's safety. So again, be smart about it, and let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with you. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, Arizona football. Now, it's not the highest rated class that Arizona's ever brought in. And honestly, it's, it's a class that I think some people thought might have been rated a little higher. I don't really care, though, about the ratings right now, because, and again, Arizona is the backbone of what Arizona wanted to do was last year. Arizona wanted to be able to get a team, or get a nucleus out there that would basically be the foundation. And that's what we've talked about. I've mentioned this multiple times, that Arizona right now is that last year's class is going to be the one that's going to build. That's going to be on the defensive side of the ball, especially when you've got Uiagalelei, when you've got Kangaika, when you've got Deuce Davis, when you got Deuce Lane, when you've got Ephesians Prysock, across the board, Jacob Manu. Those are the players that are going to make a real difference here. And again, so you want to be able to bring in players that can compete. And again, there are certainly guys that are going to be able to compete. Justin Flo, Jedd Fisch talked about it. He is, he's big time. You generally don't see a player come in who was the highest rated linebacker in the country and comes in here and plays and, comes to the U of A. We're just not quite used to seeing that around here. But that's kind of where we're at now. I would expect him to fall right in next to Jacob Manu right there. And if Leviticus Sua is able to, if Leviticus Sua plays or comes to the U of A, wink, wink, I could see some 3 linebacker looks right there. And so again, big news right there, getting those linebackers in there. Then you bring in another receiver. You got a Carlos Wilson out of Utah, who was committed to Utah. We've mentioned it many times, but I don't think that there's ever going to be a problem recruiting wide receivers for Jedd Fisch. He does a pretty good job at that, and he's an easy guy to see why players would want to play for. All right, now we're going to take a quick little break, and we're going to talk about what expectations should be for next year. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats. I'm your host, Mike Luke. All right, like I said, a little bit of a shorter show today, but what should expectations be for Arizona? I think Arizona should be able to win 7 games next year. I think that's more than a fair. Hope, at least, because you've got a revamped offense, you've got a revamped defense. Again, I don't expect the defense to be absolutely amazing, but I do expect it to be better. And assuming that it's better, that's going to have an offense that's going to be one of the best in the country. So, that's kind of where everything is right there with Arizona. All right. Everybody have a great weekend. Again, it's a little bit of a shorter show today. I do apologize about that, but we will be back with you on Monday. As always, thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats.